Yes, the core of this headline is entirely based on factual events. But no, the use of the word escape is a dramatic exaggeration designed to catch your eye, because he did not break out of a prison facility, but rather there was a massive security compromise at the airport to obstruct his lawful arrest. To fully understand the sheer magnitude of what is happening right now in the early months of 2026, we have to look at the entire sequence of events surrounding the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. The situation is unfolding exactly like a high-stakes political movie, and the drama involves multiple national security agencies, billions of naira, and allegations of top-secret wiretapping. The entire crisis really blew open on Thursday, February 12, 2026, when the former governor arrived back in Nigeria. He was landing at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in the capital city of Abuja after a trip to Cairo, Egypt, where he had reportedly gone for a period of medical rest and recuperation. As soon as he disembarked from his flight and tried to make his way through the airport, operatives from the Department of State Services, which is the nation's secret police, immediately approached him. Their clear intention was to place him under arrest right there at the terminal. However, El-Rufai completely stood his ground and refused to follow the security operatives. He firmly insisted that he would not submit to any form of arrest or detention without the presentation of a formal, legally backed arrest warrant or an official letter of invitation. This refusal led to a very tense and public standoff right there at the airport terminal. During this highly heated confrontation, the secret police operatives reportedly seized his international passport, which was said to have been taken directly from one of his personal aides who was traveling with him. This airport standoff is exactly where the 5 corrupt officers mentioned in your headline come into the story. Immediately after this chaotic event, a massive joint investigation was launched by the Department of State Services, the Nigeria Immigration Service, the Nigeria Customs Service, and the Federal Ministry of Aviation. The goal of this major investigation was to figure out exactly how the airport security protocols were so badly breached and how unauthorized individuals were able to interfere with a lawful arrest attempt by the secret police. The findings of this investigation were absolutely shocking to the public. They discovered that 5 specific security personnel from different agencies operating at the airport had severely compromised the established security rules. These 5 officers were identified as Ayuba Yakubu, who is an assistant superintendent of police, Mutala Inoa, who is actually an operative of the secret police itself, Najib Mutala, an assistant superintendent of immigration, and 2 aviation security officials named Musa Adamu and Salihu Victor. According to the official reports released by the authorities just a few days ago in March 2026, these 5 individuals actually confessed during interrogation to receiving financial bribes. They accepted these bribes to facilitate unauthorized entry into highly restricted areas of the airport and to deliberately obstruct the lawful security operations of the secret police who were there to arrest the former governor. Because of this unprecedented breach of national security and airport protocols, all 5 of these officers were immediately arrested, removed from their duty posts, and officially handed over to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission for strict criminal prosecution under the country's anti-corruption laws. Furthermore, other officers from the Customs and Immigration departments who were found to have abused their uniforms to allow unauthorized access, even if they did not take direct financial bribes, are currently facing very severe administrative disciplinary actions. But my friends, this airport drama was only the opening scene of a much larger and more complicated controversy that has gripped the nation. The very next day, on February 13, 2026, El-Rufai decided to take control of the narrative by making an appearance on a national television program. He went on Arise Television's primetime show and dropped an absolute bombshell that shook the entire political and security establishment of the country. On live television, the former governor boldly admitted that he and some other unnamed associates had actually intercepted and listened to the private telephone communications of the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. This is the top security official in the country, and a former governor was openly admitting on television to bugging his phone lines. El-Rufai claimed during the broadcast that he had reliable intelligence and had clearly overheard a phone conversation where the National Security Advisor personally ordered his abduction and detention by the secret police. This public admission of wiretapping one of the highest-ranking security officials in the nation immediately triggered a massive legal backlash from the federal government. The government, acting through the secret police, swiftly filed a 3-count criminal charge against El-Rufai at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The charges, which are currently being handled by Justice Joyce Abdul Malik, accuse El-Rufai directly of violating the Cybercrimes Prohibition and Prevention Amendment Act of 2024 and the Nigerian Communications Act of 2003. The government's prosecuting team is arguing that by unlawfully intercepting the National Security Advisor's private phone calls and by allegedly deploying advanced technical tracking equipment to do so, El-Rufai and his associates severely compromised public safety and instilled a sense of fear regarding the nation's overall security infrastructure. In response to these heavy cybercrime charges, El-Rufai's powerful legal team did not just sit back, they went on the offensive and filed a motion asking the Federal High Court to completely quash and dismiss the charges. They are arguing that simply making a boastful statement on a television program is not a defined criminal offense under the law. They stated very clearly that the prosecution has not presented any actual forensic evidence, no call data records, no expert testimony to prove that any actual wiretapping ever took place. His lawyers argued that the secret police simply watched a television interview and rushed to file charges without conducting a proper evidence-based investigation. In fact, El-Rufai is so confident in his defense strategy that he's actually counter-suing the secret police, demanding a staggering 2 billion naira for what he describes as a gross abuse and complete misuse of the judicial court process. Now, as we continue to dig even deeper into how these different government agencies are moving against the former governor, and before we look at the other multi-billion naira financial fraud allegations that are currently keeping him locked up in custody, if you are finding this detailed breakdown helpful and you want to keep getting the most accurate, well-researched and engaging stories about what is really happening in our country, please take a quick second right now to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on our future deep dives, because your support is exactly what helps us keep investigating these complex stories to bring you the clear, straightforward facts. Moving forward with the timeline of these chaotic events, the situation for the former governor got significantly more complicated just a few days after the airport standoff and the television interview. On February 16th, he decided to voluntarily honor an official letter of invitation from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. This anti-graft agency has been heavily investigating him over massive corruption allegations that are directly linked to his 8-year tenure as the executive governor of Kaduna State. Specifically, he is being probed following a detailed report published by the Kaduna State House of Assembly, which openly alleged that a staggering 432 billion naira was misappropriated, mismanaged, or outright stolen during his administration. El-Rufai was detained and questioned extensively by the Financial Crimes Commission for a few days before he was eventually granted administrative bail on a Wednesday evening. However, his freedom was incredibly short-lived. Almost immediately after he stepped out of the financial crimes facility, expecting to go home, he was instantly rearrested and taken into custody by another major anti-graft agency, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. This second commission confirmed to the press that they took him in for further questioning regarding their own separate ongoing corruption investigations. While he was physically locked up in their holding cells, operatives from this commission, backed by heavily armed police officers, stormed his private luxury residence located on Aso Drive in the capital city of Abuja. They executed a search warrant and thoroughly raided the house, seizing various financial documents, personal electronic devices, and other items as part of their deep dive into his financial history, looking for evidence related to the misappropriation of funds and potentially looking for the wiretapping equipment he bragged about on television. Court documents later revealed that part of this specific investigation revolves around a petition concerning the lodgement of over 11 billion naira into a joint venture account from various Kaduna State government accounts during his tenure. This aggressive house raid completely infuriated El-Rufai and his legal team, who immediately fired back with yet another massive lawsuit against the government. He filed a 1 billion naira fundamental human rights enforcement suit against the Commission, the Inspector General of the Police, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the specific Chief Magistrate of the Federal Capital Territory, who originally signed the search warrant. In this huge lawsuit, the former governor is demanding 300 million naira as compensatory damages for the psychological trauma, emotional distress, and loss of personal security he suffered. He is also demanding 400 million naira as exemplary damages to deter the law enforcement agencies from ever repeating such actions, and another 300 million naira for aggravated damages, claiming the search of his private home was malicious, completely high-handed, and a gross violation of his constitutional right to privacy and personal liberty. He passionately argued that the search warrant they used was entirely ambiguous, lacked proper reasonable grounds for suspicion, and violated several critical sections of the Nigerian constitution regarding the fair treatment of citizens. As of right now, in the first week of March 2026, all of these intense legal battles are completely stalled and paused in the court system.